Alright, so in this tutorial, you're just going to learn how to use JavaScript for the web. So let's start. I'm in this folder right here called tutorial. In order to actually open up a new web page, in order to test everything we're doing here, I'm just going to install this little extension. It's totally free. It's just called Live Server. So just look it up in extensions, this extension tab here. Look up Live Server, and there's just this one by Ritwik Day. This is the Live Server extension that you want to have. And then in order to run one, you're just going to go down here to this bottom right side and say click to run live server. But we're only going to do that later. So let's start with our HTML, which you always need if you're going to have something to do with the web. So index.html. In VS Code, all you have to do is say exclamation mark, enter, and you have your basic HTML thing here. Now we're going to have to attach a script to it, which is our JavaScript. And so the source will be just script.javascript. And we'll make that later, just like in a few seconds. First, we have to say the type is a module. And that means it's basically separate from this HTML. It's not a script that's right in the body here. It's not actually directly interacting with everything. Instead, it's sort of in the background. It's doing stuff to this web page. It is not the web page itself. Now let's go to script.javascript. Make sure that it's all lowercase and everything. Just make sure it exactly matches this. Otherwise, you're going to have some problems here. And we're going to say let text. So basically what that means is we're making a new variable. Let makes a new variable. Text is the name of that variable. Semicolon means it's the end of the line. So just make sure to have a semicolon at the end of every line. Now, the text should equal something. What should equal? It should equal a element. Now, in order to create an element with JavaScript, we have to say document. Now, document is the actual HTML here. The entire HTML, that is document. And we can say document.createElement. So we're making an element in this document. The element doesn't do anything yet. It doesn't know where to put the element, but we have it. And we'll say that it is equal to a p element, which is a paragraph element, which just means it has text. Now, in order to actually give the text some sort of text stuff, like some text to actually show, we're going to say text.innerHTML. Might sound a little bit confusing, but it's basically just whatever's inside. Let's go here. P, we have a paragraph element. Anything inside of this, that's the inner HTML. So if we said hello, that's the inner HTML. It doesn't have to be complicated. It's not fancy. It's just text. So let's just say inner HTML, and it's equal to hello world. So it's just like we put hello world into the actual element. So now we have our text variable. Let's actually add it into the HTML in a way that I can understand. It needs to go in the body. The body is what the user actually sees. So let's say document.body, and we're going to append child. Basically what that means is we're making a new child. We're making a little baby that goes right in here. If it wasn't a child, it could be a sibling, and a sibling would be right there, and the user would never see it, and it'd be a sad time. But we want the user to see everything, so we'll append it to the body as a child, and we need to append not nothing, we have to append text. Make sure that we have semicolons after every single line, and all of this right here should show us hello world in the index page. Now let's save this, go to index, and go live. This is the web page. And as you can see, even though the HTML had nothing, now with JavaScript, we have a new element called hello world, and it's doing something. It's here. It's amazing. But we wanted to do maybe something a little cooler than just sit there and say hello world. So let's make it so if you hover over it, it's got a color. Let's try that. JavaScript, it's the thing that makes stuff happen in the world, So let's make it do some stuff. So in here, let's go down and say text.add event listener. Now, what this does is whenever something happens to text, it will trigger something in here. So let's go mouse over. This is just a default event that can happen to any element, and it just checks if the mouse is over it. It's basically hovering. And this won't work on phone, it just works on computer, so you want to keep that in mind. And now I'm going to do a crazy thing here that you probably won't understand, and that's okay. And this is just a function. So anything that is in these two curly braces will happen whenever something is over it. This is a function caller. It makes a new function. It's kind of modern. It's a bit newer to JavaScript, but it is very important. And so you should definitely get used to seeing stuff like this right here. And now what we'll say is text.style. Style is CSS, cascading style sheets. And that is another very important thing to web development. And we'll say style, and we could say maybe color is red. So now whenever the mouse goes over it, the color will change to red. Now let's put another semicolon here. So this first semicolon is for the style, it's for the CSS, because CSS also needs semicolons. And the second one is for JavaScript, because JavaScript needs semicolons. And the semicolon at the very back here is for this line here. This entire line is one big line that all needs to be ended. And don't worry, I'll explain this function thing here soon enough, but let's just try this and see if it works. Now, if I hover over it, so I'll just reload the page again, just so you can see, I can just hover over it and boom, it turns red. Now you might notice I can just hover like over here and it also turns red. And that's just because elements have big hitboxes. Like even over here, I'm probably touching this element. And if you want to see exactly where the element is in the web page, I'm just going to go like this and hover over it. And as you can see, there's this huge blue line just right over here. That's the entire element. That's how much it takes up. So you can change that with CSS. Obviously, we don't want it to take up all of this space here. That's way too big, but we can worry about that later. In the meantime, let's figure out how to make functions with JavaScript. All right, so we've already made the function here, but you probably don't understand it. So let's make a way for you to understand it by saying let red function equal this weird thing. Boom. So this is a new function, and it's called red function. It is equal to a function as defined by this. So basically, this is a syntax. These braces here mean that it is a function. This arrow means that the function is defined as something, and these curly braces mean that it is defined as anything inside of the curly braces. So I could say, I don't know, if you're used to Python, this might make some more sense. Print hello world, anything inside of these curly braces are part of the function. I'm going to delete this. So this red function here, if I called it now, I can call it just like this, which is probably a little bit more familiar if you've coded in any other language before. Anything inside of this, these curly braces here, will now work. So anything here, all of that will just start as soon as I call this red function like so. And even crazier, instead of doing this whole weird function thing inside of the add event listener, I can actually get rid of that. I'm just going to copy it and paste it over here. All right, so now this is a red function. I can now put the red function into here. Because what an add event listener actually takes in isn't just a weird squiggly mess of symbols, it's actually taking in a function. And that function will do something. And what it's doing here is just changing the style to red. So maybe it'll make a little bit more sense to you why I used braces, an arrow, and curly braces. And there's even an old-fashioned way of making this function, which is using the function keyword and then saying red function. And this is more similar to other languages, I would say. And boom, this is the exact same thing as saying this. Well, it's not quite the exact way, but like just pretend it is. It basically is. So now you know how to create elements, how to edit elements, how to add elements to parts of your HTML. You know how to edit their style, how to make functions, and how to add event listeners. You basically know the basics of JavaScript for web development. Thanks for watching.